Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Countess by
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We head out west to Dodge City, Kansas for an episode of Gunsmoke. This episode, from November 7th, 1953, which was sponsored by Post Cereal, believe it or not, is entitled Stolen Horses.
Now, Sugar Crinkles, the sugar rice treat that's just right sweet, is proud to present Gunsmoke.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke.
Gunsmoke, the story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. Say, if there ever was a cereal designed to boost a family's breakfast morale, it's new Sugar Crinkles. Why, that sugar rice treat that's just right sweet makes breakfast more fun than a circus. Come breakfast time, just pour on milk, and you've got a breakfast main dish as you like it. Those golden nuggets of sugar-coated rice we call Sugar Crinkles are really special. Not too sweet, the way some sugar-coated cereals seem to be, and not like others that don't seem sweet enough. Sugar Crinkles really are the sugar rice treat that's just right sweet. And whether you eat them from the bowl for breakfast, from the pack as a snack, or both ways, you love Sugar Crinkles. Try them soon. And now, Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad.
One thing about Dodge being quiet like this, there's time for fishing.
Beer, steak, and catfish stew makes for a good supper.
You two are going to be sick, stuffing yourselves that way.
Well, now, Kitty, Chester spent all day catching these fish. He's got a right to eat what he wants.
I've heard of people who go to bed with an aspidity bag around their necks when they eat too heavy.
I'd rather be sick.
Oh, it's not so bad. Once you're used to it, it kind of lulls you to sleep. More coffee, Miss Kitty?
No, thanks, Chester. It's late. I've got to get back to my place. You're a good cook, Chester.
Oh, say, thank you.
If you ever get tired of the law business, Chester, maybe you could get a job at Delmonico.
The regular customers might get a little tired of catfish stew, Mass.
Come on, Kitty, I'll walk you back.
All right.
Will I see you in the morning, Mr. Dillon?
I'll be at the office early, and I want to ride out to Jim Redigo's place and look at a horse.
Can I go with you?
Sure. Maybe you'll see something you'd like to have. We'll leave early before it gets too hot. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Dillon. Miss Kitty.
Good night.
Redigo's place is going to look kind of nice. All them trees growing up around the house that way.
He's done pretty good in a year's time.
Of course, it's a long way out of Dodge.
You need space to raise good horses, Chester.
Yes, sir, I know, but it must get mighty lonesome out here.
I don't think that bothers Jim much.
Looks from here like his corrals and cat's pens are empty, Mr. Dillon.
Well, maybe he's moved his horses out to get the last of the summer grass.
You got any special horse in mind?
Well, the last time he was in Dodge, Jim was bragging up a sorrel stud he's got. It might take $30 for him.
Well, good horses come high, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. Well, let's pull up here. The horses will stand.
quiet like, isn't it?
Jim? Jim Redigo.
Maybe he's not here.
He can't have gone far. He didn't even push the door shut. I guess he won't mind if we go in and boil up a pot of coffee.
There's a pot already on the stove.
Yeah, looks like he was just about to fry up some side meat.
Pot's full.
Jim must have spent the night away from here. The stove's cold, Chester.
Well, maybe he had early this morning.
Now, this stove hasn't been lit for longer than that. A man doesn't leave side meat lying uncooked in a skillet.
It sure don't figure, Mr. Dillon.
No.
I ain't armed, mister. Don't shoot.
What?
Don't shoot me.
But, nobody's going to shoot you, old man? Well, come on in.
I seen you ride up. I was hiding out back.
Well, who are you?
I'm Jed Cuff.
What are you doing here?
I worked for young Jim Redigo, but not anymore.
What are you talking about?
They come riding up and they killed Jim. 2 nights ago it was. I was hiding, but I got hungry and I come in to get something to eat.
Redigo's dead?
Laying dead against the water trough out back. They shot him. Can I eat something?
Who shot him?
The men who come to take the horses. They killed Jim and then they run his horses off. Jim tried to fight them, but it was 2 of them against the 1 of him.
Well, I thought you were here.
I run away. I was scared. Cold coffee is better on an empty stomach.
He's plumb out of his head, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah. Old man.
Jed Cuff, that's me.
Well, show us where Jim is, huh?
I ain't a brave man, mister. I run away from all them guns.
That's okay, Jed. You just take us to Jim.
Out back. That's where he's laying. I'll show you. But before he died, mister, Jim killed one of them horse thieves dead. He's laying out here, too.
You think this old man's telling the truth, Mr. Dillon?
Well, as straight as he can remember it, Chester. It's just that he's old and not very bright anyway.
There he is. There's Jim. There's the other fellow laying right where Jim shot him out of his saddle. Jim was a fine boy. But I was scared, and I run out the back way and hid where they couldn't see me.
Jed, did you know these 2 men? Had you ever seen them before?
No, mister, I never.
Oh. Chester, see if you can find a shovel. It took less than an hour to bury Jim Redigo and the other men. When we were through, Jed put a sort of marker on each grave, and we went into the house. Chester and I found some food in the cupboard, and we fed the old man. Then we started him for Dodge, happy enough astride an old donkey we found grazing free behind the house. Then Chester and I watered our horses, and a few minutes later rode away from the Redigo place, following the 2-day-old sign of the stolen horses. About sundown, we saw a long column of riders moving towards the north.
What do you think it is, Mr. Dillon?
Well, it could be cavalry out of Fort Larned.
Or maybe Indians?
Or Indians.
If 'tis Indians, we ought to get out of here.
They're riding too slow to be a war party, Chester. It's Indians, all right. Cavalry wouldn't circle that way.
Then we're going to go right up to them?
Well, if we can.
Hey, look, they've stopped.
Yeah.
How many of you figure there are?
Maybe 60, 70. Might be a whole Indian village on the move. If it is, they're not looking for trouble.
I hope not.
They're waiting for us, all right. Now, when we get up to them, keep both your hands on the saddle horn.
Yes, sir.
All right. Heads up.
Yes, sir. They're just sitting there, looking at us.
They'll talk when they're ready.
I am Quick Knife.
My name is Matt Dillon.
My braves and I have watched you come. You are looking for the white man.
That's right.
The white man sold us horses. Our squaws ride them now.
He stole those horses from another white man.
We bought the horses with gold.
He killed a man when he stole.
You have come to take back the horses and punish the man.
Yeah?
The horses you cannot take. The man you must find for yourself. The horses are ours now. There are 2 of you, and many of us.
All right, Quick Knife. What about the man?
He left the horses with us and rode west. His name is Tebow.
How long ago?
Not long. He knows someone is following him, and he is afraid. His trail will not be hard to follow.
Thank you, Quick Knife. Chester.
I wonder if they're going to try.
Don't look back.
Well,
Now, what were you going to say?
nothing. Only they're still just sitting back there on their horses, Mr. Dillon, watching us.
Yeah.
I was just a mite scared, was you?
Yeah, I think maybe I was.
Well. Are we going to track Tebow now, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah. We'll track him, Chester. And we'll find him.
November 7th, 1953, Gunsmoke on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you can get both, why not? Especially when it comes to health care. And that's MediShare. You get both. The typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. And that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. It's because MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. If you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number you need. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of Gunsmoke, November 7th, 1953.
Soon after we left the Indians, night came, and we couldn't track Tebow any farther. The next day, we rode hard, following his trail towards the west. The prairie stretched out gray and green before us, and several times out on the horizon, we saw puffs of dust rising. We knew Tebow was somewhere ahead of us. He must have been riding a good animal, because when dusk came, we hadn't closed in on him. It was dark when we spotted a nester's cabin and pulled up.
You think maybe he's hiding out in there, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, he could be. Just keep your eyes open.
Well, but who knows? We can't track him at night. Don't you think maybe he'd just keep it going?
Well, any man's got to sleep and eat sometime, Chester.
Oh, yes, sir, that's true.
What do you want?
I thought maybe we could get some food and water our horses.
Who are you?
My name's Dillon.
We don't have many strangers out here.
I'm a U.S. Marshal.
Well, I've got some tater soup working.
Well, thank you. This is Chester Proudfoot.
How do, ma'am?
Just sit at the table there.
Thank you, ma'am. You're a long ways out here.
We was headed for Colorado territory. We never made it.
You're a widow woman?
No, it's just the boy that died. Maybe that's why my man and I stopped here. He built this place. Here you are.
Thank you.
Say, this is real stout soup.
Where is your husband?
Hunting.
Oh? Night hunting's a pretty poor thing, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes a body don't have much choice.
When'll your husband be back?
You're asking a lot of questions, mister.
I told you I'm a U.S. Marshal.
People have good luck and bad. Ours has been mostly bad.
Yeah. I'm looking for a man called Thibault.
I don't know him.
What? Yours is the only place we've seen. He came this way.
My man's name is Kirch. Abe Kirch. We don't know anybody called Thibault.
Well, thank you, Miss Kirch. We'll water our horses and get moving.
Get moving. Thank you, ma'am. It was mighty tasty soup.
You're riding on now, ain't you?
Yes, that's right.
You can water your horses right out there in front.
Good night.
Good night. Well, one thing, she wasn't too talky of a woman, at least.
Living out here so long, maybe she's lost the habit.
Yeah, maybe. This cussed buckskin can drink more water than a Texas mule.
Yeah, they've had enough. All right, let's ride.
Oh. Mr. Dillon?
What?
I can't see no doggone tracks in all this dark.
Never mind.
Yes, sir, but how are we going to see
Just
where...
ride and be quiet, Chester.
Yes, sir, Mr. Dillon.
All right, hold up. Now, let's get these horses hobbled.
Oh, I think they'll stand, Mr. Dillon.
And I want to make sure they do.
Yes, sir.
And then we'll walk back to the Nestor's cabin.
Walk back? Well, what in the world for?
That woman said her husband was out hunting. That there was a Sharps 50 leaning in the corner. A man doesn't go hunting and leave his gun home. All right, come on.
It could be Mr. Kirch took another gun with him.
He's too poor to have another gun.
Well, where do you think he is?
I don't know, but there's something wrong back there, Chester. His wife was mighty anxious to be rid of us. Usually it's hard for a traveler to break away. The people are so hungry for news and a little talk.
I guess that's right.
Yeah. Now watch where you put your feet.
Yes, sir.
It only took a few minutes to make our way back to the Nestor's cabin, where a pale light showed through the chinking and under the door. Some 30 feet short of the cabin, we stopped. We could hear voices inside. I motioned to Chester, and we stretched out flat against the ground, and then inched our way closer. Now we could make out it was a man and woman talking. One voice was Miss Kirch, the other was either her husband or Thibault.
Hurt him. Who said that?
He ain't hurt bad.
There's blood on his face.
I hit him to keep him from talking out. You come around.
I got rid of those two men like you told me.
Is that him?
Said you wouldn't hurt Abe if I did that.
Wait a minute, Chester.
I just hit him on the head. Now, shut up.
We ain't never harmed nobody. I did what you said, and I
told you to shut up. You open your mouth again, and I'll fix your husband good. Get your food out on that table. Gotta have me something to take along.
Why has it been like
Chester, he's busy now packing up that food. Crawl around to the back of the cabin, then make some noise.
What sort of a noise?
It doesn't matter. Just so he knows somebody's out back.
Well, then what?
I don't know yet. I'll get going.
That's fine.
You take all that? What we gonna eat?
Go hungry.
Those men here were the law, weren't they? One man said he was a marshal. They've been following you. You must have done something bad, real bad.
I killed a man who talked too much, woman. And I just... Someone's out back.
Please, don't please.
I'm going out. If you make a sound or I'll come back for you.
All right, T-Bow, drop it. What? I can see you, T-Bow. Drop your gun or I'll kill you.
Well, now, hold on, mister. Let's talk a minute.
You can't shoot at my voice. Now drop it.
The conclusion of Gunsmoke, November 7th, 1953, when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues. But first... Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, November 7th, 1953.
Let's talk a minute, huh?
You can't shoot at my voice. Now drop it.
No, I won't.
Everything all right, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, sure.
Kind of too bad you had to kill him. But then they'd have hung him for a horse thief anyway.
Yeah.
And he killed Jim Redigo, too, Mr. Dillon.
Forget it, Chester.
Yes, sir.
Now, we better get into the cabin. There's nothing we can do out here. We did what we could to make Kirch rest comfortable, and then sat up half the night talking to his wife about Dodge, the railroad, stores, all the news a woman would be hungry for. And the next morning early, Chester and I started on the ride back to Dodge. It was clear and bright, and we made good time, Chester riding along feeling mighty proud. The nester had said he couldn't feed another horse, and so Chester was trailing his own buckskin and riding the big red stud that T-Bow had been using. Yeah, Chester was mighty pleased with life. And T-Bow, who'd stolen the stud a few days earlier from Jim Redigo, was buried out on the prairie, with stones piled on his grave to keep off the coyotes.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman Macdonnell, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Norman Macdonnell, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were Helen Cleve, Ralph Moody, James Nusser, and Paul Frees. Parley-baer is Chester, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty. Ken Peters speaking. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, tries to prevent mass murder during his fight to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Listen next week at this time when Gunsmoke will be brought to you by Post Toasties, the heat good cornflakes.
Yeah, I think Post figured out pretty quick that they didn't need to sponsor this edition, this particular show. Very, very adult and not kids in nature. Gunsmoke, November 7th, 1953, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, time for us to start another yours truly Johnny Dollar story. This one is entitled The Lorcoe Diamond Matter. This episode originally broadcast November 7th, 1955.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
Ben Tyler, Johnny. Transworld Fidelity.
Oh, hi, Ben.
Are you free at present?
If the price is right.
I mean, are you on a job?
It's beginning to sound like it.
Can you be on a plane for Algiers in 2 hours?
Sure. Who's the client?
Lorcoe Limited, Amsterdam. You know, they're the...
Diamond Cutters, an old firm. Big-time deals all over the world.
Check.
What happened?
Oh, one of their couriers just dropped dead in the Algiers airport.
Oh, too bad.
He was carrying a briefcase with $100,000 worth of set stones. Top-grade diamonds.
Don't tell me, Ben. Let me guess.
That's right, Johnny. The briefcase is missing.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Home Office, Transworld Fidelity Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of my expenditures during investigation of the Lorcoe Diamonds matter. Item 1, $324.60, transportation. A routine plane flight to North Africa and the city of Algiers. It was an easy trip, and I felt relaxed and comfortable. A feeling that was rudely terminated about 10 seconds after I got off the plane.
You are Monsieur Dollar, are you not?
Yeah, that's right.
I am Inspector Marcus of the Algerian Customs Police.
Oh, how are you, Inspector?
Oh, quite well, Monsieur, and vastly reassured now that you have arrived on the scene of the crime.
Oh?
You see, I have implicit faith in special investigators. I have encountered them in the past, so I have no doubt, but this little affair will prove most simple to you, Monsieur.
I see.
I feel that in a mere matter of hours, voila, you will produce the guilty culprit like un lapin out of a chapeau.
Inspector, I'm beginning to feel a cold wind from the north. That's odd for this time of year, isn't it?
A mere passing breeze, Monsieur. I shall now assume my official attitude.
And that is?
Extreme courtesy, complete cooperation, and the devoted service of my meager talents. On orders, you understand, from my superiors in Paris. And now, Monsieur, if you will accompany me to my office.
Delighted to. After you, Alphonse.
My name is Pierre.
Oh, sorry. Just a whimsy.
Oh, yes, I know. I have heard the joke. Both jokes.
Uh-huh.
This way, Monsieur. A man from the local diamond firm is waiting for us, a special representative, so he informs me. And so, since you yourself are a special investigator, I could perceive a certain advantage in letting him give you the facts, as I believe you say it in the States.
Tie our tails together, sit back, and watch the fur fly, is that it?
Well, he is a trifle excitable, but your metaphor, however, escapes me.
Oh, I doubt that, Inspector Marcus. In fact, I doubt if much of anything escapes you.
You are too kind.
Except, of course, $100,000 worth
I
of diamonds.
spoke too hastily.
Vanished, disappeared, right under your nose.
Well, but there were extenuating circumstances.
Oh, I'll bet there were. Tell me something confidentially. Did your superiors in Paris really blow their tops?
Monsieur Dollar, if I may borrow one of your more colorful expressions, they said I had probably goofed.
I'd met that same attitude before with local officials. To them, sending in an outsider implied they couldn't do the job themselves. And Inspector Marcus was on an even hotter spot. The air terminal was a port of entry to Algeria, under his jurisdiction, Customs Police. As he said, he'd goofed. Maybe.
It is a matter which hath entire past all apprehension.
But he was right on
I
one
know that
thing.
in London
Hans
this thing is
Zeindorf,
not have happened.
the Lorcoe
In
representative,
Paris, too, it
was
is not
a
have
trifle
happened.
excitable.
In Amsterdam, it is unthinkable such thing have happened like this. Even in your New York, mein Herr Dollar, it cannot have happened. But here, in Algiers...
It have happened.
Yeah, this beautiful diamond gone. All gone. It's like barbarians. This Africa is no place for diamonds.
Maybe you ought to tell him that in Kimberley.
It's differently there. It's entire different.
All right, Mr. Zeindorf. Suppose you tell me just what happened.
Who can know, mynheer? 15 years, this courier has worked for Lorcoe Company. We are think he is trustworthy. Entire trustworthy.
Well, even a trustworthy man can die of heart failure.
But he has never had this heart failing before.
All right, but...
Perhaps it would be better if I were to, with your permission, of course, Monsieur Zeindorf.
Yeah, you tell. I am not talk this English much good.
Precisely. These are the facts, Monsieur Dollar. The Lorcoe courier, a man named Paul Gruber, arrived on the plane from Amsterdam yesterday morning.
Yeah.
Did you know he was arriving?
I did not know, but the point is a very clever one. So, a short while before landing, Monsieur Gruber was taken suddenly ill. A doctor met the plane, and the stricken man was removed by stretcher and taken to the emergency clinic. In 20 minutes, monsieur, he was dead. Diagnosis, heart failure. Mais c'est la vie.
Was there an autopsy, Inspector?
Another excellent point, Monsieur Dollar.
Thank you.
Do not mention it. An autopsy is being performed this afternoon.
Good. So the courier died. And then the briefcase?
It was delivered along with his other personal effects, unopened, to the customs property agent here at the airport.
And his name, the property agent?
André Jourdain. He was very busy at the moment, left the briefcase lying on his desk, intending at the first opportunity to register and place it in the vault.
But the opportunity didn't come, is that it?
Precisely. Only a few minutes later, I heard a gunshot. Monsieur, he was lying on the floor in a pool of blood. He had been struck on the head. The briefcase was gone.
All gone. This beautiful diamond gone entire.
Yeah. When did you find out what was in the briefcase, Inspector?
Almost 2 hours later. I radioed the Lorcoe firm in Amsterdam, informing them of the death of their employee. They replied immediately and stated that the briefcase contained $100,000 worth of diamond set pieces.
Works of art. Beautiful. One brooch, one necklace, 2 bracelets.
Precisely. Yes. The jury was being flown here on approval for examination by a prospective buyer.
Name of the buyer?
The Countess Maria de Tolia.
What do you know about her?
Monsieur Dollar, if you had seen her, you would not ask. She is exquisite, lovely, chic, charming, spirited, full of the joie de vivre.
And no doubt loaded with potatoes.
With a woman like that, who would ever inquire?
I would. Since it looks as though she might be the only person in Algiers who knew that $100,000 worth of jewelry was coming in on that plane.
Mais oui. But she could not have known that the courier was going to drop dead in the airport.
A good point, Inspector.
Merci, monsieur.
What about that property agent, André Jourdain? Any chance of talking to him?
But of course, if he is yet able to talk.
Then I guess I'll...
Talking is not enough, mynheer.
Relax, Mr. Zeindorf. You're covered by insurance.
Insurances is money. It's not my diamonds.
Oh, well, if you don't want the money, you can always waive your claim.
Waive Mynheer Dollar, are you think that I am crazily? That I am entire crazily?
I talked to the plane crew who'd come in on the flight with the dying courier. I talked to Inspector Marcus's men, who'd been with him when he found the property agent lying on the floor of his office. I didn't expect much, and I got just that. But it didn't matter. I figured I may have had my man spotted already. The same old story. An ambitious and underpaid government agent opening a briefcase to register its contents and seeing the diamonds there for the taking. Hiding them quickly, then a fake slugging and firing a gun at a non-existent thief. Yeah, an old story. Expense account item 2, $3.40. Transportation into town and taxi fare to the Hospital of Our Lady of Sorrows. Inspector Marcus had phoned ahead to authorize my visit. One of the sisters led me down the corridor to the door of André Jourdain's room. She motioned silently and then turned away. I stepped inside and closed the door.
Monsieur?
You're André Jourdain?
Mais oui, but yes. What do you want?
My name is Johnny Dollar. I'm an insurance investigator. My company is the underwriter on the Lorcoe Diamonds.
Why have you come here?
Well, to ask a couple of questions. Of course, if you'd like to consult an attorney before...
I have nothing to conceal, monsieur. What do you wish to know?
Just exactly what happened when that briefcase disappeared.
I have told it already to Inspector Marcus.
Yes, I know. So now would you mind telling it to me?
But there is no... Bien. I was working at the files when someone entered my office. I turned around and saw a man standing there, pointing a gun at me.
Ever seen him before?
No, monsieur.
What did he look like?
Well, he was quite tall.
Heavy-set?
No, very thin, tall and thin. European, I believe.
All right. What did he do?
He ordered me to turn around, stepped up behind me, struck me with the gun. I fell against my desk. He grabbed the briefcase and ran to the door.
You were still conscious?
Oui, monsieur, but in terrible pain. I fumbled for my gun in the drawer of the desk and fired one shot. It is all I can remember.
Uh-huh. You hadn't by any chance opened that briefcase?
I had been too busy.
And you didn't know what was in it?
Not until they told me today.
Andre, I wonder if you'd mind if I lifted a corner of that bandage and took a look at that wound on your head.
If you are careful, it is very painful.
Oh, sure, I'll be careful. Lie still now, please. It'll just take a second. I'll lift this edge and...
I think I am lucky to be alive.
Yeah, very lucky. Okay, thanks.
It is nothing.
Andre, do you happen to know the Countess d'Attolia?
The Countess? Oh, monsieur, she is unquestionably...
Yeah, I know. She's lovely, exquisite, charming, chic. Well, thanks for your cooperation, Andre.
A pleasure, Monsieur Dollar.
Take care of that head. It's the only one you've got.
Oh, you Americans are so whimsical.
Oh, yeah, we're all crazily, entire crazily. My pet theory was starting to limp. That slugging wasn't phony. It had taken 14 stitches to close the cut in Andre's head. Whoever hit him hadn't been kidding. They meant it for keeps. I walked down the corridor and stood waiting for the elevator, thinking it over, trying to figure it out. But no go. I needed more facts. And a moment later, I got more facts.
Monsieur Dollar, I thought I would find you here.
A clever piece of deduction, Inspector.
Merci bien, monsieur.
Don't mention it. What's on your mind?
There should be something.
Well, there's got to be some reason for that smug grin. What happened? Did the thief confess?
Au contraire. I was on the point of asking what progress you were making on the case.
You will be happy to hear none at all.
Oh, that is too bad.
Inspector. Extreme courtesy, complete cooperation, the devoted services of your meager talents. Remember?
Touché. Actually, I came to tell you that I now have the report of the autopsy. The courier who died of heart failure. Only he did not die of heart failure, monsieur. Except, of course, in a very literal sense.
Well, what did he die of?
Poison.
Well, that was the end of a good theory. The courier had started to get sick on the plane, so the robbery and the murder had been planned well in advance of his arrival. By somebody who'd known he was bringing in diamonds. And so far, only one person fit the bill. As lovely, charming, and chic a suspect as you could ever hope to meet. The Countess d'Attolia.
There'll be another intriguing episode in our story of the Lorcoe Diamond Matter tomorrow.
Tomorrow, a lovely woman lies beautifully, and a sinister whisper drifts out of the Casbah. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Les Crutchfield, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
From November 7th, 1955, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Your name, sir?
Friends, this is Bob Hope. If an atom bomb were to hit your home city, would you know what to do? Remember, one explosion of an atom bomb could kill 75,000 and maim 100,000. This is only one kind of a disaster which could strike. In addition to many forms of enemy action, there are the dangers of fire, flood, earthquake, and traffic. Knowing what to do before, during, and after a disaster can improve your chances of survival. There is something you can do and do now. You can learn a pattern of survival. Your local Office of Civil Defense is ready to help. Persuade your club, your church, your friends, and your neighbors to help to learn to live. Remember, this is the atomic age. No one can escape its hazards, but everyone can prepare. Listen carefully. What you are about to hear can save your life. Do you know the siren signal in case of atomic attack? Do you know how to find shelter? Do you know how to give first aid? Do you know what will be done for your safety? For further details, consult your local Office of Civil Defense.
Still good information to know. By the way, if you enjoy our classic radio theater shows, especially yours truly, Johnny Dollar, most of those shows were provided to us by Ted over at RadioMemories.com, who's working on a whole batch of restorations right now. Check in with him at RadioMemories.com. He supplies shows on cassette, CD, and flash drive for your computer in the best audio quality there is. That's at RadioMemories.com. And tell Ted I sent you by. Why won't you please? If you like what we do here, visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows on demand. If you miss a day, you don't have to miss a show. You can learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me there. You can also find our social media links, and there are lists of places where you can download our programs. And by the way, you can also buy me a coffee. I don't drink coffee. That Buy Me a Coffee money goes instead on helping us acquire additional classic radio collections from some really good collectors so that we can bring them to you here on your favorite radio station. That webpage, classicradio.stream. Please thank this station, support their advertisers, tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.